Hi everyone, it's Melissa, and this is your Tuesday teaching tip. I am sharing a great website today called 50 Word Stories. I'm suggesting this as a resource where you can pull mentor sentences and paragraphs to share with students. When you share great writing with students, it really gives them something to hold on to. It gives them great models for writing, and then you can have discussions about grammar and usage and vocabulary. I love this site for a resource. This is a public site. It's a competition writing site, so I would not just share the link and let students freely roam the site because you can't control the content, but you can use this as a resource for finding great examples of writing to have conversations about and for students to model. So the premise of this site is that authors are submitting 50-word stories of fiction. The stories have to be exactly 50 words. And if you give this kind of assignment to students, two things will happen. One, your reluctant writers are going to breathe a sigh of relief that they only have to write 50 words. The more 50-word assignments you give, those become 100-word assignments, and then 200-word assignments. And before you know it, your reluctant writers are writing 300 and 400 and 500-word writing samples without the dread, without the complaining. But this is a great place to start. For your advanced writers, this is going to be a challenge for them to get everything they want to say in 50 words. This will give them the opportunity to pay attention to word choice, precise language. There's just a win-win situation with the 50-word story, which is why I loved it and my kids loved it. So it goes on to say that they encourage authors to submit writings that have a beginning and an end. Great place for you to have a discussion with students about a beginning and an end, plot and character development, a theme and meaning. Here's the part that you want to use. You want to go to the top stories, and you want to be able to sample some of the writing and just go through and pick and choose what you'd like to use with your students. Copy and paste it onto your Google Slides or your document, and then go with the lesson, go with the activity. Decide ahead of time what mini lessons or what discussions will I have, and then you've got something as far as an activity to use with students. I love this first example. It gives you the author and a little bit of bio information here that you could also discuss with students if you wanted to. By daylight, they told her how she was born. Her birth mother fled, abandoned like a burning oil rig. She was wildfire, unplanned, unwanted. When the world was at its darkest, she carved a hole in the sky and crawled inside. The stars look different when you're behind them. Now, I can think of 100 conversations that I could have with my students about this writing piece. We might focus on punctuation. That would be one thing I would do. The colon. Most students know the colon is used in time. Here's an example of how to use that colon. Here's an example of a sentence that students could model, put into their writer's notebook, and come back and use again and again. See, we're trying to get students to develop their own style, to find their craft in writing, and this is the way to do it, using mentor writing and sentences and paragraph examples. I love this part. She was wildfire, unplanned, unwanted. Even if you pulled that sentence by itself and projected that and had students fill in with their own words, what a great sentence already from the beginning, and that's something that they can go back and use again in future writing. So I love this just for the different examples. Here is one that is a poem. So you'll go through and decide which of these examples you want to use. Think ahead of time of the mini lessons or the areas that you're going to specifically target. I wouldn't try to target all the punctuation and all the language and all the vocabulary and all the figurative language. It's overwhelming. Go slowly, pick the things that you know match your standards, and use it in that way. Her talk floats, changes course like blown soap bubbles, then gone. Someone else's laughter comes near, draws hers. She drifts toward whoever is taking her pulse, lifting her spoon, doesn't hear me calling into the receiver. I stand in my kitchen, phone to ear, listening to the room she's in. So this is a great poem. You could talk about the use of the dash. You could talk about simile. Many different conversations about writing that can happen here. So I am emphasizing this as a great resource for you to use to pull mentor sentences and mentor writing, and then to have those conversations with students. If you have questions about using the 50-word stories, comment. I'm happy to have that discussion. I am passionate about teaching kids to write. If you've used this site or something similar and have had success, share what that was about with us. I hope you have a great week ahead, and I'll talk to you soon.